All right, we are live. All right, what's up, y'all? What's up, my brothers and sisters, my happy people? Welcome to another episode of the Kava podcast. I'm your host, Will Nakuzi. You guys know who I am. I have a very special guest today. Very special guest. I'm gonna give her a very big intro. Do a quick drum roll. Okay. I do have a very special guest today. All right, from the FYI, from the best mission in the world, the New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand mission. She is whoop whoop.
That's me.
She is a future politician, future president. Low key, watch out. She's coming. You better watch out for it. The next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Watch out for this girl. All right. Also, all the way from the 801, the big 801, baby. 801. I know for a lot of y'all, 801 have a lot of good memories or have a lot of bad memories. But nevertheless, I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here with this beautiful and special guest today and on my podcast. So we're going to have a lot of great discussions, a lot of great things we're going to talk about today. So make sure you guys tune in. But like I said, I'm going to let her, I know I gave her the big drum roll already, but I'll let her introduce herself real quick. Go ahead.
Perfect. Hey guys. Like he said, I didn't think he said my name. So I am Eleni. A lot of people call me Neni or Eleni. My last name is Iongi. I am full Tongan. I am 24, and like he said, I'm from the WC, Utah.
Utah, baby.
Yeah, that's me.
All right. All right, for sure. All right, so let's get this podcast started. All right. How did you grow up?
How did I grow up? So I was out of my 7 siblings, or plus me, so 6, or wait, plus me, there's 7. I was the only one that was born in West Valley City. And then when I was born, we moved to California. So I grew up in California. Me and all my siblings, we grew up in Rancho Cucamonga. And I feel like I had an awesome and an amazing childhood, playing out in the streets with the neighbors, kick the can or whatever, walking to school. This is where I feel like you could still walk to school without being scared of getting kidnapped and stuff, I'm not that old, but, it's just like that, just things like that. I had an awesome childhood. I think when I was my freshman year of high school in California is when I finally realized how poor my family was. I grew up never realizing and never even knowing that we were so poor. Oh my gosh.
That's all good.
So sorry. Oh my gosh.
You good.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. That was my youngest brother. I was trying to yell quietly.
Hey, don't worry. Hey, we are Polynesian, so if you guys know this, watching this, you guys know this.
You guys know the vibes.
The vibes in the Poly household.
That was a 7th child. He's so annoying. He's a baby. But so it wasn't until my freshman year. So this is when, I don't even know what it's called, but in Cali, remember when the big recession and everything was happening? I can't exactly remember the year, but yeah, it was my freshman year and we lost our house. And that was so sad for me. And I think that was my very first, because it was traumatizing for me, because that was the very first house that my grandpa bought when he moved here from Tongan. So my grandpa moved, with all of his kids, they moved to Hawaii to get sealed, and then they moved to California, and that was the house that he bought. And that was the house that my mom grew up in, and her siblings, and my grandma, my grandpa, and I grew up in. And then we lost it. And I didn't even know it. Literally, I for me, the way that I can think of it, I don't have the best memory, but I have remember key things. And I literally just remember one day, my mom, called us all together around the table and was like, we are moving. And it's because basically we are getting, is it evicted? Or when the house, we got evicted. And it was really hard. So we moved from that house, mind you, there's 7 of us, my whole family, there's 9, including my parents. We moved to Ontario, to one of my auntie's house, who has 5 kids, or 7. I forgot how many kids, but dude, okay, it was a 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. There's 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom, 1 little lotofale, and there's like, or the living room, and then there's like 3 bedrooms. Yeah, and so, my auntie and uncle, they had 1 room that was theirs, and then they gave my mom and my dad and all of us 1 room, and then all of us girls stayed in 1 room, and then my brothers, and then my boy cousins, would just sleep in the lotofale or wherever.
Yeah. Hey, I know the garage.
Where did they sleep actually? But no, it's so cool though, because my uncle, he actually built a little shed outside, like a little room,
the shed.
Thing for them.
The infamous.
Hey, shed's better than nothing, right?
Hey, that's give me flashbacks right now.
Nostalgic, huh?
Shout out to the shed, baby. The shed life.
It's always the best thing. Can you stop? What? Hold on. Okay. Sorry again, guys. It was my brother. He's about to get some laying on the hands later.
Polylove.
I swear. But yeah, and that's like, so it was so much fun. Like, to be honest, like when I think back to it, and even with my cousins, when we think back to it, we're like, dang, we really had like 21 people in a 3-bedroom house and 1 bathroom. It's just so crazy. And that was so much fun. And sometimes I forget that we even like, oh my gosh, like, dang, we did that. We went through that.
You know what's crazy? You know, when you, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know what's crazy good. That when you grow up like that, you think that's normal. Until you go to your friend's house.
Wrong.
When you go to your friend's house, oh wait, everybody has a room in their own room.
You have your own bed? This is your own room?
The garage is actually a garage where you have vehicles.
Where you keep your cars? That's so good. That's so funny. That is so right. That's so funny.
I know.
Yeah, because I didn't really think of it as weird, because you know, sometimes even in our old house, we would have, my old house, the one that we got evicted from, we would have people live with us, like people who needed help, who lost their houses or something, or you know, are moving from Tongan or moving from somewhere and then need somewhere to stay and get, you know, we would always have people with us, so it wasn't always just us. And so you're right, it was so normal. But yeah, those times were the best times. That's when I went to like 3 different high schools. So I went to one high school, and then we moved houses, and then I went to another school, and it sucked so badly. I hated it, especially just because I'm being a freshman, man. That's where I didn't really know who I was, and I you know, it's kind of just like, I wanted to be cool and I wanted to fit in, and I didn't know that all I had to be was myself, you know. I was always trying to be like somebody and like dress a certain way and stuff, so it was really hard trying to make friends and like try to find myself, or establish, like, you know, who I am, or find who I am, whatever. You know, when like moving high schools and stuff and trying to make friends, I never even went, to be honest. I keep saying going to school, but half the year I didn't even go. I would go walk around and who knows what. But yeah, that was high school. We ended up finally getting our own apartment, like a little apartment, and then my mom and dad separated. They were having some marriage problems. Hopefully I'm not putting their stuff on blast. But yeah, we moved. My dad stayed in California, and my mom and all of us kids, we moved and lived with my auntie in Utah. And then, yeah, that's when we started. Eventually, they got back together. We lived with my auntie and uncle for a couple years, then finally got our own house. And I think moving to Utah, I'm so glad. I hated it at first, but I'm so glad that I was able to, because I really do feel like I created who I wanted to become starting here. Because when I first moved here, I discovered that there were a lot of fake people. that there was a lot of people who wanted to be friends either for clout or people who they just didn't have real intentions, and I hated that because it made me feel like, dang, so just like being used and stuff. So I kind of like I'm not saying I was a loner, but I kind of stuck to myself. I was always with my brother, and I had a couple of people who I would always hang out with, but I would really keep to myself. I was cool with everyone. I didn't hate anyone. I didn't have drama, but I think I always kept my guard up. And for the reason being of people using me, if that makes sense. And so like, I think that's where I made the decision subconsciously, like in my head, to be genuine as possible to everyone and anyone, and to make sure that my intentions with everyone are genuine, because I don't want to make anyone feel the way that I felt, being used. And if I'm going to befriend you, I'm going to befriend you because I see a real friendship, because I see you as a person, not as an asset that can make me, look cool or something like that. Like I didn't ever understand that. But I think in high school is where I established that mindset of I don't want to be the person who uses people. I want to make sure that I'm genuine and I'm honest. Because also I'm not the type of drama person, but in high school I started, there's like the little Fakamuna drama stuff. And, I where it started with me, and it did start with me, and then it got around and it bit me back in the butt, and so that's where I also learned to like, dang, like, hello, like that's molded. I learned a lesson from that. And gossiping, there's nothing good comes from gossiping. I try my best not to encourage it. I'm not perfect, but I think that's where I established all of that throughout my whole 4 years or 3 years in high school here in Utah.
Did you grow up? Like what kind of crowd did you hang around? Did you always hang around out of poly kids, or did you hang around the adult kids, or did you kind of like stay to yourself? Because I feel like, as a Polynesian, like I feel like that's out of those three paths we take. Like either we just grow up and hang around all the other poly kids, because based on all the interviews I've done and experiences I've heard from some kids, I feel like who we become is a big factor, like who we hang out with. So did you always hang around with the poly kids, or did you choose to be by yourself, or did you hang around the other cultures, other kids?
I didn't even I really did stick to myself, because I was now that I have anxiety and I realize what I have, I think I had a lot of social anxiety in high school, not realizing that that's what it was. But I always felt so weird. I didn't feel like I fit in with the other poly kids. And also, like,
can I ask you why? Why did you feel that way? Why did you feel like that you couldn't connect with the other poly kids?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first off, I am not athletic. I'm probably the first Polynesian you will meet who does not play a freak. I'm so lerpy. I will play, but I will suck. I'll make you lose, but I'm gonna have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I suck, but I play. So that's the thing. I did it. I wasn't into sports. I tried out and stuff. Did I ever make it? No, but I tried out anyway. I think so. That was one thing. And also another thing was, I think now that I see it, I think I was low key judging them, because I felt the way that I saw them was like, I felt like they thought that they ran the school because they were cool, because they were athletics, and like, a lot of just the way that I would see them. Because I stay by myself, I observe a lot of things. And from what I observed, not saying that this is true, but I always took it as like, man, they think they're so cool. Like they get off, a lot of them would come in class like hella late and like, get off, or like they wouldn't get in trouble for it or something, like just stuff like that, because they're cool and stuff. And I'm just like, and I would see the way that other people would react around them, and it was almost as if they were like, oh, I can't, like they're cool, like too cool. And I didn't like that. I was like, because in California where we didn't have a lot of Polynesians, I had a lot of Miko, Uli Uli, and Palangi friends. So then when I came out here, I really did see the cliques. With ethnicities, or if it wasn't with ethnicities, it was with whether if you're in athletics, just like the different cliques, in high school. And so that's why I felt like I didn't connect, because I didn't want to hang out with people who thought I was judging them, but because I can't say that, but that was just what I was observing, and what I felt, that like, man, I don't want to be like that. Like, I want other people to feel like they can befriend me, and I'm not saying that everyone was like that, but yeah, that's why, basically.
Yeah, because I feel like, because I can relate to it, because I feel like in high school, like, that's the time where we're trying to, number one, we're trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also we're trying to figure out, the group that we're in. And I feel like sometimes, I want to ask you this question, like, what did you, I feel like sometimes that if you're Polynesian, like you said, there's a stereotype that, we have to be athletic, and then usually that's where everybody congregates and goes towards it, right? But the thing is, some of us grow up and we're not athletic, we're not an athlete, right? Yeah. So what did you, especially like if you can relate to this, like if you were like a low-key nerd, right?
I was a low-key nerd, high-key nerd.
All right. And also there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a low-key little nerd too. I like to watch anime.
Heck yeah.
Hey, Naruto, that's my thing there. So I was, but the thing is, if you like, say if you were like a nerd in high school, right, and that's how you identify yourself as a nerd, then you wouldn't feel comfortable being around athletes, right? Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, like, what would, like, I was just interested and curious, like, what were you, who did you identify yourself as? And the reason why I want to bring this up, because I've heard that's one of the main things I do hear from a lot of Polynesians is growing up and they didn't fit the mold of what a Polynesian kid, they weren't athletic, they weren't good in sports. So a lot of times, like, they just hang around other Polynesians just because they wanted to fit in, but their identity of who they are, they weren't. That's not who they really were, and they avoid spending time with the people they really want to be with, just because they didn't want the other kids to feel like that they were weird or, right. So I want kids to be themselves. I want kids to be comfortable who they are. So if you want to be an athlete, great, be an athlete. But if you want to be in the choir, if you want to go to debate or the student body, whatever you want to do in high school, I feel like that definitely helps within not only our growth but also our confidence as kids. So I want to ask you, is like, looking back at it now, retrospect, like, who were you were? Who did you identify as, and what type of, and I'm just interested to hear that, because I feel like a lot of times the reason why we don't comfortable hanging around other kids is because that's not who we are, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's a beautiful thing about everyone, is that we're all different. Yeah. Just because I'm poly doesn't mean that I have to be friends with all the athletes and do the same thing everybody else is doing. It's okay if you want a different path. That's something I had a conversation with Anna. Anna, shout out to you. All right. She talked on my last podcast, but she talked about that growing up, that she wasn't interested in, she liked being in the choir, liked being in musicals, like doing things that was totally opposite of what all the kids were. Yeah. And I know myself, because I was one of them, but even though I was an athlete, I played sports in high school, but I also like the thing. I also like watching cartoons and watching and reading mangas and watching anime. Yeah. Right. And sometimes I would hide that fact from my friends because I didn't want them to judge me. Oh, look at this weirdo, look at this nerd. Just to fit in. So I want kids to be comfortable, be themselves. So I want to ask you, who were you in high school?
Man, to be honest, I don't even think I knew who I was. I was, man. I think back and I really think that's who I was, is I didn't know who I was, if that makes sense. Like I was so lost. So to answer your question, is who was I during high school? Was lost. To be honest, because I didn't really know what I liked, to be honest. I didn't know, and I would always be so frustrated because I always try to pick up hobbies and just like things, but to be honest, like there were things that I enjoyed, but like I was just so lost. I knew one thing that I wanted to do was serve a mission. I was very spiritual. Not saying that I'm not, but I was yeah, I was spiritual, but also, you know, low-key bad. And that's what I would try to hide. So, okay, I think that's who I was. I was in everyone else's eyes, and to me, because that's what I believed, you know, I was the goody two-shoes. And I feel like that's how everyone views me or viewed me, as an angel, which I'm not saying I wasn't, but it was sometimes.
So you feel like that's what kind of drew people off from you, because they felt like that you were like
judgy,
you know,
yeah,
want to be the good girl.
Yes,
all right.
Yeah.
And then then that's why they, like, a lot of people like were thrown off your vibe.
Probably. Yeah, like, because I got along with people, but not like never close, you know. And I think probably because I gave off that vibe, and probably, to be honest, because I low-key was not a total judgy, but I was a goody two-shoes. But then also, you know, I had a whole nother, I wasn't perfect, but I never let anyone see my unperfect side, if that makes sense. Like, because I wanted to uphold the I'm good, I don't ever mess up.
Oh, so you were the hardcore Mormon girl.
Yeah, so a hypocrite. I was a hypocrite in high school. That's cool.
So when the kids saw you, look at that Mormon hypocrite. Look
at that girl.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. That makes sense.
That's so embarrassing. But that's who I was. And like, and I'm oh, I'm sorry. What, did you have another question?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So like, so that's who I was. And like, actually, yeah, I super was. I was super, like, things are this way, right? Like, things are supposed to be like this, especially if you remember. And then I prepared, I graduated, everything. And then I started working. I worked like 3 jobs at one point just to help for my mission. Because financially, going back to my childhood, money was always a thing. Money was always a big thing, a struggle, and a struggle and a big thing, just like, especially with my dad. And I think it's just because you know, I'm not saying everyone is like this, but he came from Tongan, and I feel like a lot of the times where we did struggle was because money was going places that we didn't like, to things that we didn't need, like big TVs, big like cars, when we live in this type of house, you know what I mean? Like, just and that was it. And so like, also, I always felt kind of, that's something that I'm grateful that I learned from my dad, though, the way that he was, because he kind of made, every time we asked for money, whether it was for lunch or for a school dance, because we weren't working, he'd always make us feel like it's a burden, when it's like, hello, you're our dad, like, who else are we supposed to get this from? So I think a lot of my siblings and I, like, we started working in high school because we hated feeling like that. We hated feeling like a burden. We hated asking my dad for money. So I started working in high school, and then after, I just totally started working, picked up a lot of jobs, and then you know, try to save up for my mission. And then I went on my mission, and I'm so grateful for my mission, because that's where I was humbled a lot. So the person that I was in high school, I'm glad to say that, like, who I am now is so different, because I went on my mission thinking missionaries are, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And then I went out there, and then, you know, I was like, oh shoot, like, it was a whole different thing, you know? And yeah, I learned a lot of different lessons. I learned a lot about our Tongan people. I learned a lot about myself. And yeah, I learned that I loved, that I loved serving people. I love people. Like, a lot of my jobs, most of the careers or like jobs that I've had are working with people. But yeah, and then I came back from my mission, and that is where it all started. I feel like it was after my mission. They always say it's after your mission is when the real mission starts. And so after my mission, I started dating this guy who I served with. We're still good friends. He's from Tonga, and we were engaged and stuff. I flew out to Tonga, met his family. I did all his papers. I worked 2 jobs. I was doing a lot of stuff. And this was in like 2017 or 2018. And, you know, just because I was like, man, we're going to get married. It's going to be so great. And I'm obviously not. I'm not married. I realized when he came out, and you know, I think it was within the first couple weeks where I realized, I was like, oh shoot, like it's different, because most of our relationship was just over like long distance. You know, we would call, send him some money, or talk to him only when he can get internet, you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny though, because it, like, I think a lot of people were surprised because I was dating a fob, just because he's from Tonga. And I hate that word, but people just say fob. But on my mission, I hated it. It's because, like, well, technically we're fobs, because I don't know, I'm not perfect in Tongan, you know, and just because they're not perfect in English. Yeah. But anyways, a lot of people are like, oh, dang, she really did change, because, you know, I viewed people from Tonga as one way. And then I came home and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to marry one. I love them so much. But things just didn't work out. I just realized, like, that's where my mental health, I stressed myself out so much. And I'm not blaming him, because he's awesome. He's amazing. But I realized, like, man, I'm doing a lot of the things. And he came out here. We realized that he kind of seen that the life of America, like, you got to work hard, you got to bust your butt. It's not like Tonga, where
it's laid back, more laid back,
super laid back.
And there's not as much financial obligations in Tonga than there is in America. America, you got bills, man.
Bills for everything. Or they only have to pay for the light and water. We gotta pay for everything.
What's that song by Beyonce? Like, you got the cell phone bills,
exactly.
automobiles.
Oh my god. Exactly. Taxes. Oh, love America.
I do want to. No, it's funny you brought this up, and I do want to talk about this specifically because, you know, I'm Mormon too, and I remember me and one of my good female friends, like, we had a very deep conversation about this.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, because you actually did it. So why do a lot of Mormon girls try to date and marry guys from Tonga and not just date somebody here?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very interested. I remember me and, like, because one of my good friends, she went to what you went to. She tried that route.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and for me, you know, we're good friends. She called me, and then we had a discussion, and I asked her, I was like, what? And I just asked her, like, why don't you just stay here? Like, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just interested because, and I'm just interested in doing that. And then I also hear a lot of, and for me, it's like, I do know a lot of Mormon girls, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, like, they have this perception that all the guys in Tonga, they're faithful. They're the best, the husband material, right? and this is my own personal conversations with my female Mormon friends, right? So they have this, for some reason, they have this perception, and I don't know. I'm gonna ask you because you know you're talking, you're Mormon, right? So you can really, so you know, so but I want to ask you. So yes, I talked to her. She's like, yeah, I'm trying to find a husband in Tonga, and I asked her, like, why? I mean, look. For me, I'm like, do you want to, whoever you want to marry? I support anybody, whatever they want to do. But I remember her specifically telling me this. She was like, yeah, I want to marry somebody from Tonga. And I was like, why? There's a lot of Tongan guys here. Well, you know, guys from the islands, you know, they're husband material. They're faithful, you know. And I'm like, no. I was like, wait,
where?
I was like, wait. I was telling you, you know, your location in the world is not an indicator of your faithfulness and ability as a husband. Exactly. But for some reason, a lot of Polynesian girls have this perception that the guys in America, you know, all cheaters and they're liars and they're not faithful, and then the guys in Tonga or from the islands are just perfect, husband material, and I literally we had a debate. I told her, look, the guys in Tonga is just like the guys here.
Yeah, maybe it works.
I mean, look, there's a lot of good guys out there. There's a lot of guys out there, but I'm just saying for me, it's just funny. It's just crazy for me to see a lot of Polynesian girls fall into that belief that the guys in Tonga or the islands are more husband material, and and end up going that route, and then marrying or finally meeting up and realizing, oh wow, like the relationship ain't gonna work, or like 6 months, a year into their marriage, they realize, oh wait, it's not gonna work out. So I was just that was always something I just see that happens a lot. So I wanted to ask you, because you kind of went that route.
Yeah.
Like what made you decide, okay, I wanted to marry a guy from Tonga? Was it just your own choice that, okay, I just want to marry a guy from Tonga, or did you have that same perception a lot of girls have, the guys that you feel like guys from the islands are more husband material than the guys are better than the guys from America?
To be honest, with my mindset, and I think my situation, it's different, and I can't say only because, like, I can't say that I was engaged to him because he's from Tonga. I didn't do that. I didn't. He just happened to be from there. But it's because we served together, and we were already good friends. And so I observing him as a leader, as one of the leaders, like over me, a district leader, whatever. That's what attracted me was his anga and the way that he was around people, how he was so funny. Just all those things. Like he's an amazing person. But it was till after, like, first off, like, not even the long distance, it was when he came out here, when all his papers were done. He had the fiance visa and stuff, and he came out here, and that's where I was able to really see, just because long distance is different. We talk all the time, but being and living and seeing each other all the time, being around your family, you being around his family, seeing the way that he acts in different situations, that's what changed my mind. But for your first initial question, it wasn't the fact that he was from Tonga, but it was the fact that the way that he acted, that I didn't know anyone before who was like that. Because to be honest, like, for me personally, I'm never I always it's always how they make me feel inside and how they are inside, for me. But I'm glad I love him. We're still good friends. But I'm glad I didn't go down that road.
Hey, but also wanted to ask you, do you hear that conversation among your other girls? Like, did they like, you hear girls, hey, I want to marry a guy from the islands because they think that do you ever hear that, or because that's something I see a lot? But do you ever hear that among your own friends or people?
Rick, not out here. Well, but I do have friends. I have one friend who I served a mission with. She lives in Tonga. She's from America, but she's trying to bring her husband. She's married to him over there, so she's living that dream, and then living her dream. And then I have a friend here who has a family from someone from Tonga who had papers out and came out here. But I don't think we ever had the conversation of, oh, I want someone specifically from Tonga, because at least the ones or some that I've heard from here are like, oh no, I never want to. So it sounds like we have the opposite experience, because the girls that I talk to are like, no, like, just nah, like, I've heard a lot of things or whatever. But
it's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, my mom called. Okay.
No, it's good. All right. So after that, experience of coming back from your mission and try to get engaged, get married, that didn't work out. So what happened after?
So, oh my gosh, sorry. Dang, I can't ever just have time to myself in my house. I mean, I guess it's the house. But so after my mission, after I got engaged and stuff, that was really hard. I think that's when my mental health was it became real for me, because now that I think back to it, there were definitely a lot of times where I felt like I loved to cry, even in high school. And I didn't understand, and I thought that was maybe it is a normal thing, I don't know, but I used to cry. I used to cry alone a lot, and then after I cried, I'd be okay. And then I started from going to that and just having like breakdowns, not knowing why, it started from that to thoughts of self-harm, and thoughts of like I would just be driving and I'd, like, oh my gosh, like, and this was during my relationship, not even after. So a lot of this started during, and I know it's because I stressed myself out by taking so many jobs on to try to get him here and everything. But that's where it started, and then it kind of led from that, and I started, okay, where was it? I went to Australia. Shout out to Australia.
Australia.
And I went to, it was my first time, and I just needed a break. I was working, and all I was doing was working, and I felt like I wasn't doing things for me. I felt like I was doing everything for him, and for, even though I wanted to get married and stuff, I didn't really think it was, I really felt like I was non-consciously, like I didn't really want to. And I think I was like, because, we are instilled to graduate, go on your mission, come home, get married, go to school, like there's that plan that parents have.
I wanted to ask you that question, and you actually got it before I asked you. So when you came back from your mission, and if you're looking back retrospect to how you felt at that time, did you really wanted to get married because you really wanted to get married, or did you feel like you wanted to get married because that was the expectation as a return missionary, or within our culture, that hey, as soon as you get married, come from your mission, you need to get married? So you feel like, and just look at, because now you can look back at it and see, okay, how things played out. But wanted to ask that for you, like, did you feel like that was 100% the reason, like it was your own personal choice that you really wanted to get married, or did you just feel like that there was a lot of like a lot of factors that was like that it was involved, that wasn't only that also influenced your decision to make that, looking back at it now?
I think I really think it was the pressure, but I convinced myself so much that it was because, I loved him and all of that. Because man, I really think it was all the other factors that had to do with it. I really think it was that. I don't think there was a desire to get married, but I don't think it was as big as the main reason of me pushing why I need to get married, which was all the other factors playing, coming into play, like family and the pressure of church and wanting to make my parents proud and stuff like that. But yeah, I do feel like I think I did a good job of really, really, convincing myself that it wasn't for that, when it was. But yeah, that was that. And yeah, after that, like, after I went to Australia, so I went to Australia to have to just have like time and space for me. And that's actually when my family knew about my depression and stuff. Like, it was the day of my birthday and I had this big old breakdown. It seems like it's always on my birthday where I have the big breakdowns, but and then my family finally found out, and I didn't really understand why, but my sister, who's younger than I am, she's been dealing with depression, and so my family is familiar with it because of her. But before that, we always had that mindset of, oh, that's so palangi, like that's all you need to do is suck it up, stop being a crybaby, don't be dramatic, don't be loud PC, and so until my sister, that's where my family really seen it, like, oh, it is a thing, it's serious. And so I'm grateful for that, because my sister has opened all of our eyes to, or softened our hearts, and opened or expanded our minds on mental health, especially my parents. I know that they don't fully understand, but it's so, you just know that they care because they ask so many questions and they're always checking in. But yeah, so continuing, my sister helped me realize, like, dude, like, that's the same thing that I went through. I think I just did a better job at hiding it, hiding my feelings. And that, like how we were talking about before, it's because for me, if I were to cry, if I'm going to show you that, like, I didn't want to be seen as weak, and me showing those emotions was seen as weak, because to be honest, like, and this is, I'm not trying to brag, but I got myself, and I'm happy because I find happiness within myself. I don't need to rely on others, whereas I did in high school and stuff. But I love who I am right now, and like because I'm very independent, and I know if I want to do something, I can get it done. And so the fact that I was feeling all these things and thinking all these things, but didn't understand why, I would fight with myself so much, because it was my pride. It was my pride not letting me not be okay. Because I was like, no, you're okay. Just keep going. Like, go to work, get up, wipe your face, and go. I didn't want to tell nobody, because not only, so how you were talking about who was I, like, there's the goody two shoes, that was a high school phase. And then when I came home from my mission, it was I can do whatever the hell I want. And if I want something done, I'll get it done, because I can do things by myself. I don't need anyone, even though, I appreciate people who will help, and, I'll take the help, or no, at that time I didn't take the help. And so that's where I was then, is I had that, to me, in my mindset, it was like, I had this reputation for myself of, I am independent. I'm an independent woman. I work, I pay my own bills. So I'm okay. But then, when my mental health and everything started happening, I hid it for a long time, until it just kind of came out in the ugliest way. And they found out, and that was really hard for me to not only accept myself, that I was not okay, but also hard to let my sisters and my mom even like hug, or like tell me that I'm okay. The emotion, like emotions and stuff. But that was really hard too. But I'm glad I moved from that too. But yeah, that was that phase.
I wanted to ask you, when you talk about mental health within our culture in Polynesians, that's, I know a lot of people are going to watch this and can totally relate. But I wanted to ask you, because I feel like that's something I want to make sure the audience knows, like, understand that, mental health and depression, a lot of people feel like that when they're not okay, or they're just, having moments of weaknesses, or just struggling, I want to let everybody know that that's the normal part of life, that we're all going to go through our ups and downs. That's what life is. We're going to go through our ups, we're going to go through our downs. But then, like I said, I know a lot of times, especially when they're really, really young, we're not aware about depression, because we don't know what, especially when you're Tongan or Polynesian, we don't know what depression is.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's never discussed in the family conversation.
Exactly, it's not a thing.
We don't find out depression until later, as we learn about it ourselves. So because we don't have emotional intelligence to be aware of our feelings, a lot of us, especially Polynesians, we grow up thinking that feeling is a bad thing, and we have a natural reaction and tendency just to hide it. Right. But the thing is, we have to realize that we're human. As human beings, and we're gonna feel the way we feel, and having feelings, especially feelings of doubt, insecurity, anxiety, those are natural feelings. We all feel it. All right. A lot of people always, it's funny. A lot of people always ask me, man, do you ever? Because people, always want see me, and then I'm always like energetic, positive, especially what I'm just trying to do with my life, and they always assume that, hey, how do you stay positive all the time? How do you stay happy all the time? And I'm like, dude, I'm not happy all the time. All right, maybe I should stop posting more videos of me like not happy, so people can stop thinking that I'm on social media. I'm happy all the time. No, I'll tell people, I'm a human being like everybody else. I go through my moments in time. Right. But for me, because now I'm older and I'm matured as far as developing my emotional intelligence, understanding how I feel. When I go through moments in my life now, I understand it's a normal part of life. So I don't dwell on it, and that's why that's what happens when you're depressed, right? We dwell in our negative feelings, and we just sink ourselves in a deeper hole, and we lose sight of like the good things about ourselves, because we're so focused on the bad things, on the negative things, because we think that our negative feeling is a bad thing, right? So instead of embracing our feelings and understanding it's okay, like you said, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, it's okay. Right? If you're feeling feelings of anxiety, it's okay. We all feel these feelings, right? That's what makes us human, right? But back then, when I went through my depression, I felt like having this feeling was, of course, being Polynesian and being Mormon, we tie religion into it too, right? Oh wait, if I have these feelings, I'm not worthy. I'm not a child of God, or God's punishing me, or I knew I should have went to church yesterday. I should have read the Bible, read my scriptures.
Yes. Oh my God.
We start to justify the reason why, like why we shouldn't have these feelings. Like, oh, it's because I didn't do this, because I didn't. No, it's just, we have those moments as people, right? Yeah. And then of course. But then we realized later that it's okay. So I just wanted to, and I really appreciate you sharing this. And not only it hits me, I know it's gonna hit a lot of people, but I just want people out there to know, like, it's okay not to be okay, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Get help, right? It's okay to get help, right? Because a lot of times, but one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, and this is a question I always ask myself. Looking back at my own life is, why did you keep it in, right? Because I feel like the part of the reason why we suffer with depression as Tongan is because there's so many things, but I feel like it comes back to our culture of, number one, we have to be strong and perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Especially you're a Tongan daughter. Right. I know daughters, for Tongan families,
I guess
they put a lot of pressure on you guys to be that beautiful, perfect Tongan daughter, right? Yeah. For the guys, they let us go buck wild.
Yeah, you guys are the real princesses.
We are the real princesses. So they let us roam free, do whatever we want.
Exactly. Like, we're stuck at home cleaning your chores
and expect it to be perfect, right? Yeah. So I do feel like a lot of that plays to that. A lot of that cultural expectation for women also plays a lot. A lot of Polynesian women go through depression, but they choose not to reveal it and discuss it, and they try to hide it. Yeah. Also, I want to ask you is like, also in our culture, we don't really have expressing and talking about certain things. It's not, especially as kids, we don't talk about certain things, having an opinion, or voicing an opinion. It's sometimes it's not really not Tongan culture. So I just wanted to ask you is, why, when you went through that depression, why didn't you just tell you? Why didn't you reach out to your parents? Why didn't you tell anybody? What was the reason why you just held everything in? And I'm interested to hear that, because I know there are a lot of girls out there that are suffering with depression, and there's a reason why they're not sharing it. And I want you to talk about it from your own personal experience.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I think for me personally, to be honest, it was a lot of pride. Like, it was that Tongan pride, or my self-pride. It was the pride of, it was just my pride. I can't even think that was the biggest thing. First off, I don't even want to accept that I'm not okay. Like, and then second off, I don't want people to look at me and,
see you as imperfect.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like as weak. That's why I didn't want to be seen as. Yeah. But I always had this like, dang it, I just lost my train of thought. But I didn't want to be seen as weak, and I didn't want people to judge me, and I didn't want people to think that I'm using this as an excuse for stuff, because to be honest, I was that Polynesian that thought that depression was not a thing. Depression, but only for my sister. Like, until my sister got it, I understood. And I was like, okay, it's a thing, and that's okay. But it was not okay for me not to be okay. It's okay for other people to be okay, but this is me. I know myself, and I know I'm okay. I have a happy life. but why am I feeling like this? Like, why I can't control this? And it was my pride. It really was my pride. Uh, just that self freaking pride and my ego with myself. It was really hard to even like go to my sister, who my sister would always tell me, she's like, sis, I've been there. And she was always supportive and helpful, but I would have never, like when I did have bad days and I know she could tell, I wouldn't say anything until she catches me crying or something like that. But I feel like, especially with Tongan women, like you said, because we have so many expectations that are held upon us, that we are the daughters, we are supposed to look like this, we're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do this. We have a lot of responsibilities. I mean, you know, I can't, I'm only the middle. I'm like the second oldest daughter, so I'm not even the oldest. But all of us, we have more. I feel like we do. I'm not saying that anything against the guys, but that's how it is, you know. The parents trust the boys more, and the girls are supposed to. They have this image of the girls who are headstrong and you know, nothing ever gets them down. Yeah. But little do they know that. Yeah. But yeah.
And you can't mess up. That's the thing. Like, you know.
Yes. No mess ups. You can't mess up
once.
Yep. Not even one time. Yeah. And that, and that's actually, that reminds me, like, so coming home from Australia, I decided, that's when I started to take care of myself mentally. Okay. In the bad way. You know how we were talking about where we turn to other things like drugs and like alcohol and partying and stuff. Yep. That's what I turned to. Okay. And it was crazy because me, the one who everyone sees as Neni's so perfect, Neni served a mission, she's the sweetest, and then
you're good.
And then they see me and like I low-key feel like I went out and did the things that I did. Not only just for me, but to break out of that. Like, I'm not perfect, and I'm not, maybe it was a little bit of a pride thing, but I know most of it was because I was going through a lot of stuff, and I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing this. Like, you know, it goes against my family's rules and like the religiously. But I'm glad that I went through all of that, like all through last year. Literally all last year was a
dang.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were turning up last year.
Every day, dude. Every weekend. I'm saying, like, it was so crazy. Like, and I mean, kind of sad. There was a lot of things that happened last year. Like, but I was happy because I was choosing to drink. I was choosing to do things for me, even though it's not a good thing. That was the first thing that I finally decided to do for myself. Not because I felt like I was so, like, I was living for everyone else. I had to do this. I had to go to like church. I had to uphold this pedestal that they put me on as an RN. Yeah. But I'm like, no, like I don't like, and that really was draining, immensely draining. And so I mean, I turned to the wrong coping skills, which, you know, I went out and I partied and I learned a lot of things and went through a lot of things last year that really, I can't, even though last year was a blur and last year was a really tough year, and it was definitely a learning experience. For my mental health, I wasn't really doing anything for my mental health, like healthy things. The things that I was doing, I was drinking away and going out to party away the sadness. And that's what I think I realized. I was talking to my friend and I was telling him, I was like, because this friend of mine, they are that goody two shoes. They haven't done things, you know. And he asked me a question and I was just like, well, to be honest, like the people that I would go out and party with, to be honest, and I could feel it, they were all there for the same reason. Everyone, I felt like a lot of people were out there or still in that life because that's the way that they cope with their problems.
Yeah.
No,
that's something that happens a lot. I went that through myself. It's a natural thing when you're depressed, right? Because like, look, when you're depressed and when you're sad, like, deep down you want to be happy, right? And what happens is when you're sad and depressed, anything that looks like happiness, whatever form it may be, you're gonna run to it.
Even if it's just a little bit for a couple hours.
Yeah. So like you said, like, at the end of the day, when somebody really, really wants to be happy and they're really, really depressed, then we have to find, like, as normal as human beings, our natural reaction is figure out ways to cope with it.
Yep.
And especially in a culture where when we think about drinking and drugs, we have this image of happiness, right? We see people partying in the club, drinking. Yeah. All those people must be happy. They're all drinking and smoking. Then I think I need to do that, because if I drink and smoke, I might be happy just like them. Because right now my home is like, I'm not happy at home. Right? I'm not happy where I need at home, even though, like, and you can grow up in a home with the right foundation, with going, with the right parents, going to church. But the thing is, if you don't have an environment at home where you could fully be able to express yourself, especially your feelings, which doesn't happen a lot in Polynesian homes, right? Even though we have in Polynesian homes, we have great parents, we have a structure, we have religion, we have church, right? But a lot of times, I think that's one of the things that a lot of Tongan parents assume that, okay, we just give our kids a shelter, food, clothing, they should be good.
Yeah, exactly.
They just assume like, they're gonna be good. All right, that's why we talk about mental health. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're not happy? You have food, you have shelter.
You live in a house, but pay for the bills.
Yeah, bills. Like, what do you mean you're not happy? Right? Yeah. Because but they still have the island mentality. They're living in Tongan, But here, the culture and the interactions we go through in high school and the things we deal with in high school and all the things as growing up as a child, they don't understand. There's so many things in our culture that doesn't happen in Tonga. That's why we are more influenced by certain things. That's why a lot of times, like, we struggle a lot as kids. So, but yeah, like, I just want to talk about that too, because, like, I went through that same experience, and like I said, I'm telling you right now, most people, I don't know the exact number from my own personal experience for myself and my own friends. Most people that I know that drink and smoke, most of them do it to cope with something.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. That's what I learned.
For me, like I said, whatever you're doing, I'm not judging nobody. You smoke, you drink, hey, do your thing. For me, I'm a big advocate for happiness. So if that's your lifestyle and you're doing it in a healthy way, right? In a healthy way, all right. Yeah. I'm not telling you to go right now and party. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll talk on the podcast. Go out there and start popping bottles.
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying that. We have to do things in moderation and in a healthy way, right? Yeah. But I'm not here to judge nobody what their lifestyle is. But if you want to smoke and drink because want to celebrate something with your family, with your friends in a nice, healthy, fun way, go do that. Go, live your life and be fun and enjoy life. But if you're doing it because you're trying to hide your depression, you're trying to hide those things, those feelings that you're not addressing, which is killing you inside and making you worse. And also fun. I want to give there's a fun fact. A lot of people don't know this. They should know. Alcohol is a depressant.
Yeah.
All right. So you makes it worse. So if you're depressed and you drink alcohol, you're actually making it worse.
Yeah.
So that perception that if you drink, you're gonna be happier. Scientifically, that's false.
Yeah, it is. No, you're so right.
All right. And that, but also when you're depressed. When we drink, when you become more depressed, that's why you're more open to speak. That's when you get drunk, open up a lot more.
You do,
yeah. Start talking about their problems.
I'm sad.
Are you? I know. I hope you. Are you that drunk? Oh my God! Yeah,
No,
different type of
I'm
drunks.
a happy drunk. I'll be crying sometimes though.
I have friends that type of drunk. They start talking about it. I was like, dude, I just came here to have fun, bro. I'm not here to.
I'm not your parents.
I just came to have a good time. I didn't need to come and listen about your problems. Let me savor this moment. But just a fun fact for everybody out there that didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, alcohol is
yes, that's important to know.
Alcohol is a depressant, so it's gonna make it actually worse, and you're actually gonna feel worse about how you really feel. So if you're already feeling terrible,
don't do it.
It's gonna even feel worse. You know, even though for a moment when you first start drinking, you may feel a little bit of the buzz, but once you really go into it and then you start feeling your feelings, it's gonna make it worse. But I saw that a lot, and I see that a lot not only with myself, with my friends. Also, being Mormon, I see that a lot of Mormon kids do that, and they hide away from their parents. And but I want to ask you is did when you were going through that phase last year, did anybody know about it? Did you do it? You know, did you make sure that nobody knew about it, or did they know?
The only people who really knew was one of my best friends. She's my first cousin. She's like my sister. But I call her like my soulmate and my twin flame because literally she's there for everything, all of my ups, all of my downs. She knows who she is. So shout out to you, Pati. But yeah, she knew, and a select few people knew. But I think she was the one who I really opened up and really told. There were a couple people who I told, but yeah, that it was mostly just her, and she was going through her own things too, you know, just like how everyone is always going through their own things. But it's funny though, because it's like, you know how you were talking about living in a home where you can't really express yourself, like express yourself as if like your emotions, and like I want to drink because I feel sad and just things like that, you know. There has been a little bit of change in my household, just because I feel like I really have been pushing discussions within my own family, because you know how am I going to try to encourage discussions and conversations with people online, what I'm doing right now, you know. But I wanted to make sure that my own circle was doing that, because I couldn't do that at first. And the thing that kind of changed that was because I didn't really tell anyone how I felt, you know. It was just that one girl, and I wanted my family to know. And I think last year I really did. I resented them all. I hated being home. I barely was home, only when I was home like through the weekdays, and then I'd leave Friday morning, come back Monday night or whatever, you know. But I think I low-key resented them because I felt like
you feel like it couldn't be you with all your imperfections and flaws. And then,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
I felt that moment where I didn't want to be home. Not because I didn't want to love my household, or I didn't want to be home. I just felt like that I couldn't come home because I couldn't come home and with all the baggage I came with, because I knew people would, if I did reveal it to anybody in my home, that I would be seen in a different way. Yeah. And I just didn't. And that's why I'd rather just not be at home. Because I would have, because I just wanted to be home. If I like I said, not being expressive self. Yeah. I think a big part of it is expressive self, especially when you're not doing well in life.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So, and I feel I wanted to be, for me, I would have loved to be at home and be able to like, hey, Dad, man, I just I messed up, or hey, Mom, I messed up. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And then for them, and then for them to be, it's okay. You're messing up. It's okay. Let's figure it out. Let's go happen. But for me in my household, that I know if you mess up, it's gonna come with the Polynesian tough love, discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Exactly. And I get that the lakunaki, the lakunaki from your parents. I told you, and
yeah.
And you're right. They tell you, and they tell just hey, I didn't, I came from Tongan, I did all this for you, and
now you're gonna go and
you can go and waste your life and belittle our family name and you know, and just make you feel like you're just a big disappointment, and like, you know, you don't want to exist no more, right? Yeah, so that's why you want to avoid those conversations from your parents. You want to avoid that with those situations. Exactly. So you just don't want to be at home. I'd rather just be home and be flawed, and yeah, go ahead. But being flawed is who you are also as a human being. Like we are flawed.
Yeah, and I'm actually just so grateful for everything that happened last year, because it actually helped me and my family change that dynamic of whether if it's me or if it's my brother or my little brother, my mom, my dad, if anyone has something to say, we say it. Mm-hmm. We're still learning, you know, and sometimes it's awkward, but I just like, so something that kind of really made me want to start having conversations, not only with my family, but with Polynesians especially, but everyone. So like last year, I was raped and sexually assaulted. And I knew that I entrusted who I was dating at that time. I told them, I didn't even want to tell them. It happened in October, but I didn't talk about it, and I did everything to forget that happened until December, when I broke down and I had like a trigger and something reminded me of that night. And the only reason that I told the person that I was dating at that time was because I broke down, because I broke down for the very first time from that night, because I hadn't really talked about it. And so one of my best friends, so she came to me and she was like, did you know that other people know like what happened? And I was just like, what? And you know, and she was like, yeah, I guess it got out, and I found out that it was from the person that I trusted, and they told, and I know they didn't have any ill feelings, they were just trying to find out who did it. But still, that was really frustrating to me, because there were other people who knew something so that was weighing heavy on me, and something that I haven't chose to deal with yet, that were talking about it. And what really broke my heart was, I don't want my family to know. I don't want my parents to find out that happened from someone else. I want it to be me. So that was the very first, And so I texted my family, and for all of us to get together. And, you know, even my younger brother, my baby brother he's 12. And then my oldest sister, she has a wife, and then my brother and his wife, they were all there. Just everyone was there. And I got them together, and I told them what happened. And I only told them because I wanted them to hear from me. Because even though we don't have these discussions, you guys are my circle. You guys are who matters the most to me. I know I haven't been home. Like, I love you guys. And I know that would hurt so much to hear something like that coming from someone else. And so from that discussion, I felt like it was so important for me to start having these discussions. So we had more discussions. We talked to my little brother, you know, like having really weird and uncomfortable questions and discussions about rape, about molestation, what molestation is, telling my brother, and, you know, my dad is there, my brother's there. It was awkward, but it was needed. And because it was only awkward and uncomfortable because we grew up not talking about those things. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I realized, I was like, this is how things, this is another topic that I will go on to. Like, it's such a big topic that weighs on my heart too. But I just thought, like, I would never want my sister, my little brother, my mom, my dad, anyone in my circle to feel like they can't tell me because they feel like scared. We are the people who should know first. And that's why I started having those conversations. And then that's what kind of made me want to have more conversations with, like how you're doing, you know, with other people, just because we never know what everyone's going through, and what burdens they're carrying on their heart, you know, and just waiting for the opportunity to be able to get it off their chest. And so I think, that I'm just, even though it was a very unfortunate experience that happened, and I feel like I can only talk about it. I mean, you're probably the first, not stranger, but someone that I told, because my circle knows, and I make sure that my circle knows everything. They know that I sometimes I smoke, like cannabis, what I use everyone thinks I use my anxiety as an excuse, but it really does. It helps me and I enjoy it. But my circle knows. So if anyone else knows, I don't care, because the most important people in my life know. So when I was able to tell them what happened, I didn't care about what anyone else thought. And also all of this, like the discussions and me getting everything off my chest, really helped my mental health as well. Not saying it fixed it, because I there was still things that happened after, but it was a start of me realizing like I need to get better, and take care of myself. But yeah, that's I think that's really also why I so badly just want to encourage conversations, healthy conversations, and just like encourage people telling their stories, because you never know what everyone else is going through, or who you can affect and who you can touch or influence or impact with your story, no matter how everyone's story is different. But there's a quote that comes to my head. It was from Michelle Obama, and she has a book and it's called Becoming. And there's also like a documentary on Netflix, but she says vulnerability, there's power in vulnerability. And once we find value in our own stories, and once we tell those stories, that is where the change happens. That is where things happen. When you are able to tell your story, not only just tell it, but you have to make sure that there is value. You have to believe that there's value in your story, and that you can help someone by telling it. But yeah, sorry, I was talking too much. But yeah.
No. And first I want to say that thank you for your courage to share that very difficult kind of conversation, especially bringing up your rape, right? I know. So I just want to say that from the beginning. So thank you for sharing that. Also, because I know it takes great courage, right? The fact that you did that and shared that only with me, low-key stranger, but with everybody that's gonna be watching, for me, I really want to hug you right now. I want to just come like give you like give you a punish hug, because I know that took a lot out of you just to share that. And so my condolences and love goes out to you. So thank you for sharing it. But I do want to talk about it, because I feel like I have friends that have gone through sexual abuse, and that's something that that happens a lot within our Polynesian community. People don't know. People think that Polynesia we're just
people
happy
know, but people don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. It happens more often than not. But that's one thing I always see is like, because of the way our culture is set up, because of how the expectations are placed upon us as kids, and not having a safe place to voice our opinion. That's why these things go untalked about and keeps happening.
Yeah.
And the perpetrator keeps repeating that behavior, because they're not held accountable, because nobody is talking about it. Yeah. So I want to help out all those girls and guys out there that's going through it. So I want to kind of talk about a little bit more. So I want to ask you is, when that happened, when you after the experience of getting raped, what did you initially do? Did you feel like, did you want to go to the authorities and report it, or you didn't want to, or what was going through your mind when that happened, and you realized to yourself, wow, I just got raped right now?
Yeah. To be honest, I like how I said, so like, I mean to like get graphic and stuff, but like the night, or like, I think I convinced myself that I wanted it, and I knew I didn't. But that the next morning I mentioned it, but I didn't mention rape, because I didn't, to be honest, I didn't want to be a victim of that, because again, here's my pride. I am not a victim. I don't want to be a victim of rape. So I'm not going to admit it. And so that is so bad. Like the pride in that, right? I didn't talk about it. I really didn't. From that day, I mentioned it, but I didn't say the words rape. I just, I was just like, and then the next time in October, so it happened on October, and then I talked about it in December, when I broke down. That's what happened. It's because I forced myself to think that I was okay. It was, again, my pride. It was me not wanting to believe and accept that happened to me. I never thought that I would be a victim to that. And so me not acknowledging it made me feel and think that it didn't happen. And so if I ignore it and I compress all these feelings, it'll go away. But, again, obviously it didn't. But I feel like, again, because these were topics that aren't easily discussed or even discussed at all or normalized in our household, it made me feel like, I didn't have to talk about it.
It made you feel bad for happening to you? It was your fault?
Yes. Yes, really though. Really. I did. And I was like, well, if I wasn't in the right place, the right time, if I was doing better things, if I was hanging out with better people, then it wouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have, been drinking. I haven't, I was just thinking all these things. Yeah. And blaming myself. Yeah.
And I know you said you finally opened up and shared it to your parents, right? And to your family.
Yeah.
But what was their initial, what was the reaction? Like, how did they respond when they first heard it?
And before I share, I don't want anyone to come for my parents or to judge them, just because I know that they love me, and the way that they reacted is because they were hurt and because they care for me. But my dad, he's just the normal Tongan dad, but he kind of just put his head down and he got angry, and he was like, I told you to stop drinking. And that was his first thing that he said.
That's crazy.
I know. He said, I told you to stop drinking. And then I was like, that's where I was like, this is not my fault, because no one else was sticking up for me, because I didn't even stick up for me. That's where, because it was me always bashing me and me telling myself that already. When it was someone else who was telling me that, who was my dad, I was just like, no. That's where I stood up for myself. I was like, no, it doesn't matter if I was drinking. It doesn't matter. Like, if I say no, no person has the right to touch you or to do something to you without consent.
There's nothing in this world that can justify rape.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Nothing. Rape is rape.
Exactly. And so he went in the room, and he went straight to the room. He started punching things, and then he was trying to find out who they were, who the guys were. And I didn't say the names because I know he was so angry and he wanted to kill them, and so did my brother. But that was his first initial reaction. But for people who know my dad, or I guess not even people like my family, my dad is he's an angry guy, but he's also, I love my dad, and that's him. But that was the way he acted. And then after that was him reacting from his anger and his hurt. But then later on, he came and talked to me, and we talked, when he wasn't so angry, and I understood, and I knew. I didn't take it to heart because I knew that's not what he meant. My mom just started crying. My mom's a big crier. She started crying. But after that, I didn't want it to stop there. I didn't want it to stop there. So I started holding discussions every Sunday, because we have our family discussion where all my family, my siblings will come to my mom's house, and we'll just discuss, things for the family, kind of like a family home evening, but on Sundays. And so we've been slacking, but where we talk about sex, where we talk about sexual assault, we talk about the things that we don't talk about. We told my brother, he didn't know what rape was. He was confused, and we explained that to him, and we explained to him that you never ever have the right to touch anyone. We taught him that, and then we taught him, and no one ever has the right to touch you, without consent. And if anyone does, the first people I hope you come to, and I hope we make you feel safe enough to come to, is us. And that's going back to what you were saying, family not being able to express things. That's what I'm I've seen the change in my family from that first discussion. We've been more open with like mental health, with bad decisions, bad choices. I still smoke from time to time. My parents understand. They just don't want it in their house. I do it in their house. You know what I mean? Um, and I know they don't agree with a lot of things, but because they love me, you know, they love me. Nothing changes their love for me, or if that makes sense. But yeah.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah. So, and I mean, I love how you took action. That's one thing I love what you just shared right now. And I love how you guys are, man, you guys have made so much progress from, because people don't realize how hard it is for, like, you know, I know we're just talking about right now, like from going from telling your parents of what happened and then going from making discussions. People don't realize how hard it is to do that with the Tongan family, a traditional Tongan parent family. It takes a lot to do that.
Oh my
and
God.
and for me is what saddens me is like, that's something we should do. We shouldn't wait till when the worst case scenario happens to either the kids or something happens for us to react. It's something we should. I feel like in the community we should be proactive. Like, let's not wait for our kids for that to happen to our kids, or our kids to struggle and fall into fall into hard times. For us as a community. And that's why I'm very just shout out to you, and then thankful that you're sharing this. And I know it's very courageous of you. But I feel like that's the reason why a lot of these things happen in our culture and families, is because we don't talk about it. And also, and like you said, what you said was exactly I feel like why a lot of kids don't say it, because the way your parents reacted, I feel like this is what's going to be the common reaction with a lot of parents. And just looking back from my past, right, when I make a mistake, that's always been like the first way our parents have the way they handled those situations, like I told you so. Yeah. Right? They always try to flip it on you, like like.
Oh my God.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility for our choices. But like I said, but that's something like every kid. That's why kids don't want to talk about these things, because they know their parents. The first thing they do is they're gonna blame it on you and make you feel bad, and make you feel bad for happening to you, even though you're the victim. Even though you're the victim.
Yeah, it was done to you. Like, hello.
Exactly. Like what kids should really need to hear is, oh my God, what like just like a hug, like I love you, and then like just embrace you, and then and be there for you, and be in your corner. Like, we just want our parents to be in our corner, to know that they got us, even the good times, especially when we struggle. We want to know that parents will always got there, and then because we feel like as kids that's going to be their reaction, because how we grew up as a child. Yeah. When we do face these situations in our life, we know how our parents going to react. So we'd rather just not talk about it and not hide it, and just let it happen, and keep continuing. Man, this is like,
that's. And I so agree. And I wanted to bring something up because I had a lot of discussions. I talked to my brother. My brother's like my best friend. He's married, but I started having discussions like with my sisters, with my best friends, literally everyone in my circle, about what happened. And then a lot of people who I told in my circle opened up to me about things that happened to them. And a lot of it was molestation within the family. And I wanted to bring this up, and it's such a thing that still weighs on my heart. And like, it's just like, because our culture, I feel like our culture has this double standard. It's like, you can never go in, like, your brother is not supposed to go in your room. Your boys aren't allowed to be in this room. You're not supposed to be laying down when your brother walks into the room, stuff like that, right? But they say that, but they never give the reason. That, like, they're like, oh, you make sure no boys are in your room, but then at night your uncle is sleeping in, like sneaking in your room to touch you. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Tell me the why shouldn't boys come in my room? Why shouldn't I wear this? Why should I, like, and I feel like that's what and I know it's not their fault, and I know you understand that too. Like that's just the way that our parents grew up, and so their mindset, that's their mindset. But because we saw their way, and then we have our way, and then we see that there's so many other ways, which is a blessing. But like it's just so sad because you just see a lot of it's so sad if I were to really get into it, and like the incest and family molestation with uncles and grandpas and fathers and daughters and just a lot of things. Like one of my cousins, so she made this post on Facebook, and it was about her sister being tied up by her mom's husband, tied her up and did whatever, and the mom was there. And he ended up, I hope he's in jail, but the sister is okay now, and she's with or she was able to get help, and she was with her older sister and stuff. But I remember just like feeling so many things. And okay, is that okay if I read something that I journaled?
Yeah,
like,
it's fine. Yeah,
it was like it was around the same time about the things that happened to me, and then this, mind you, this is when a lot of people were coming to me with their stories. And then I saw this with my cousin online, her post. It's when I was washing dishes. I was literally, it was like a Sunday, I was washing dishes, and I just started crying, and my heart felt so heavy, and I had no idea why. So I started writing, and then it was obviously because of everything that was going on. But I put, wait, let me just read through it. Let me see what I wrote. Let me read before I start writing. Before I start reading it all,
It's all good.
But okay, so it's okay. Man, I feel kind of gay. Okay, but I think it'll be good, because I feel like a lot of people might really, I don't know, but
that's good.
I said, so my heart feels so heavy right now. This is 1:13, June 7th, 2020. My heart hurts about things that has happened to me and my loved ones, and non-doubtedly several other girls and boys. A recent post my cousin posted on Facebook has triggered my thoughts and feelings, not because I was offended by it, but because this experience that her and her sister is going through has opened my eyes that sexual violence, molestation, and rape is one of the biggest generational curses in the Polynesian community. My sister, my mom, my cousins, me, myself, I see time and time again girls coming out with their stories. My heart hurts so much because I feel helpless for my Polynesian sisters. I feel this need to speak about it. I want to bring awareness or more awareness to the Polynesian community. But it's tapu and disrespectful for women to talk about sex in any way around males, especially with your brothers or family members. But it needs to be talked about. And I know for me to be able to make a change, it must start with me and my circle first. I just said, I won't lie, I'm really nervous. I think this is before I brought up the conversation with my mom. But I was like, I won't lie, I'm nervous and scared to even bring it up with my mom, but I'm so tired of seeing this generational curse carry on. And my heart is heavy because I feel burdened to see and hear about what has been going on. I don't know why I feel personally burdened by this, but I hurt and feel for my sisters, my cousins, and aunties and friends who has been affected by this. And then, and that was one thing earlier this year, and it's something that still is on my mind. But I know for a fact that if not everyone, every other person, every other Polynesian person, and I don't know why I just say it so confidently, is just because how much I know has been affected by this, but no one talks about it, and it's so sad. It makes me so sad.
Yeah. I do want to go back to something you said, and I feel like it's something that's very powerful, and I feel like I want to make sure to say this. When you said that it's very important, especially when you raise kids, it's very important to let them know of the reasons of why they shouldn't do something, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like that's one of the main reasons why a lot of kids end up pushing back, while a lot of kids end up not following the parents' decisions, because our Polynesian parents, the way they parent us and they teach us is they rule us with fear.
Yeah.
All right, they don't do this because I said so.
Yeah,
Right.
because I said so. That's always it.
Don't do this because I said so. Don't do this, or because I will whoop. You're
Yeah.
you get beat. I'll whoop you up if you do it, right? And what happens is you're not teaching them to make good decisions.
The reason and the why. Yep.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
as kids, we have to be able to make decisions and make decisions for ourselves and be able to understand how to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
I remember I did a podcast with Pasi and Nani Tamotel. I don't know if you saw the couple, right? We talked about this, and because what happens is when you don't, our parents, because number one, because they love us so much is they try to protect us, and they do it. They try to make decisions for us.
Yes.
Right. So that's why they don't look. Just do this because I said so. And if you listen to me, your life was. If you listen to me and follow what I say, your life is gonna be good.
Oh my gosh.
But the thing is, that's not how life works. We have to teach kids, right or wrong. We need to teach kids to make, logical and the right decision for that time. And if what happens is, if you don't teach a kid how to make decisions, how to act, then when things happen to them, they'll just allow it to happen, because you've taught them just just listen to what I say and follow it, and not be able to act upon how they feel. Because if like you say, you're raped, right? If somebody's about to go through rape, if you teach a kid how to act on their own decisions, if they'll be empowered. Look, I don't want to do this, and they'll say no, and they'll actually take action. But because you took away their inability to be confident in making decisions, their nature becomes just let things happen to me and not make decisions for ourselves. And that's something that we just talked about in our podcast. And I feel like that's what happens a lot, because our parents just try to rule us with fear and make every decision for us. But the thing is, and I know they do it out of love, because they want to love us so much, and they want us to live a happy life. So they're trying to make every single decision for us. But the thing is, in the practical, in the real world, in real life, that doesn't work. And that's why we see a lot of kids go to the real world and then finally go out there in relationships, finally go out there and date, finally go out there and get a job, finally go out there and do real life and real life stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we struggle, because our whole life our parents have made decisions for us, and then when things happen, when bad things happen, we don't question it, right?
Yep.
So we've been taught, hey, just listen to me, and then it's my way, it's right. My way my way is always right. Just listen to me, and then if something bad happens to you, you taught us to let it happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to empower our kids. Don't stop ruling our kids with fear. Trust them. Let them know the reason behind it. Exactly. And I know a big part of the reason why a lot of parents, Tongan parents, they don't do that, because I know sometimes they feel like that if they try to, because they want to be powerful, they want to control us, and they want to be like the authoritative figure.
Yeah.
They feel like talking to your kids, they feel like that, they see that as being weak.
Yeah.
I don't. Right. So I don't want my kid to feel like that I'm emotional, or that he feel like there's an opening. If I talk about it, he thinks that he can walk all over me.
Yeah, or something. That pride.
Allow him to. If I allow my kids to speak up, and then they have that. They think that it's being weak as a parent, or being weak in because they've been conditioned and they've been taught how to parent by their own parents.
Yep.
But
which is only the one way.
Yeah, but they don't realize that by raising us that way as Tongan and Polynesian kids, they actually do us a disservice as far as when it comes to real life applications of real life. Yeah. And that's why we see that's why I see, and then I see this a lot with only myself. A lot of Tongans just struggle when they hit real life. When they leave the house, oh my God.
Yeah, that's real life.
When you hit real life, you're like, oh my, we're literally unprepared. And
exactly. It's like, oh shoot, what did they really? What did we learn? What did we really?
Yeah. I don't know if you can relate to this. Have you ever done something for yourself for the first time and you feel uncomfortable? Like when you made your own decisions because you'd be so used to your parents doing everything for you.
Yeah, just like the drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good things that I've done too, but it is. It's uncomfortable.
I remember that. Like, I remember when I first started going to the real world, and then I realized that that what I wanted for my life was different. When I realized, okay, when that started to come into my thought process, wait, you know what? I actually want something different for myself, and actually, there's things that I am interested in that's kind of opposite of what my parents wanted for me. And when I slowly started making those decisions, I'm not gonna lie, I was so uncomfortable. So like, it's like, oh man, am I being a good son right now? Like, am I being a bad child? And this is just making decisions for myself that I feel like that's gonna benefit me, that's gonna make me happy. And I was so uncomfortable doing it, just because like I've been taught like, okay, what my parents taught me was right, and never to think for myself.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Oh shoot. Oh, I thought I lost it. And like I love how you brought that up, like the thinking for yourself, because I don't know if I'm going off topic, but I mean I feel like that's why you, or I can't speak for you, but that's at least why I am doing it. I feel like you are exactly like the same, or trying to do the same thing in different ways.
Yeah.
But that's why I love posting the discussions, because I noticed a lot of them, like they're like they thank me for giving them the opportunity, or like to talk about that stuff. And then a lot of them are like, they're scared to answer. Remember how I was saying, like, because they're scared of judgment. And I feel like that comes from the deep rooted of not being able to think for ourselves. So we have to, what does our mom and dad think? Not only what do they think, but what does everyone else think? And I feel like that's
especially the elders.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know. I mean, then that's something that I see that happens a lot, and I feel like that. Yeah, that. And I remember I was having a discussion with a mental health counselor. He was talking. I forgot his name. He was talking to the mental health counselor that my ward brought in to give a talk, and then we were able to talk to him on Zoom right before his talk. And that's something he brings up, that's one of the main problems within our community, being a counselor that counsels a lot of Tongans in Utah. And man, why? Oh, now you mentioned about Utah. I was like, that's why he's in Utah. A lot of Tongans out there they need to fix. But he was talking about it's like the reason why a lot of Polynesians struggle is because like because we're just we're not taught to express ourselves, so we grow up thinking that certain topics are just it's hard to talk about. Like he said, he talked about sex. Sex. When you talk about sex in the Polynesian culture, like everybody gets awkward and tense, and oh wow, like, that's taboo. Even though sex is a normal thing in our life, and it's how we procreate.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but then we make it seem like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right, and so that way when bad things do happen when it comes to sex, then we don't want to talk about it because we
and that's another thing, like going back to like it was always don't drink, don't have sex before marriage, don't smoke, but it's like exactly like how you said, they never say why. If they were, I know for a fact, or like if they were to tell me like, and I know I learned this on my own, but coming from your parents, I feel like it makes a bigger difference. If they were to tell me and my siblings the reasons why I shouldn't have sex before marriage, what sex is, what the world just says sex, when really it's a power to procreate and a power to be able to create children, and it's something so sacred that the world likes to tarnish. Tarnish the name of, or like tarnish the whole thing of just sex. It seems like that's what everything is about. So if they were to, I feel like if they were to have those kind of conversations, things definitely would have changed, with drinking and just anything that they say, don't do it because it's bad. if they were just to give us the reason and the why is it bad, like don't smoke, don't drink because you might become an alcoholic, or here are all the bad, the downside effects of drinking, here are all the downside effects of smoking. And then, like you said, that's where we are able to use our agency and we can use our choice. Okay, well, I know this has all these consequences, and I know what will happen if I don't do it. So, it's up to you to make that choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what happens is, if you don't teach kids to empower them to make their own decisions, then what happens is you become a victim of your environment and your circumstance and your situation. So if you tell a kid, hey, don't have sex before marriage, because number one, it's gonna make it hard. It's gonna make it harder for you to achieve your goals and dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's much.
It costs a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money as far as finances. You don't. Being 18 or being underage and having a baby early, it's gonna be hard, right? And it's gonna be really, really hard. You have to give up a lot of things in your personal life to focus on that child. If you break it down to them like that, now that when they're in a situation where they're about to have sex, like now they can make a decision for themselves. I don't want to have sex because I know the reason why, and
exactly.
I don't want to be in that situation, and they'll make their own choices because what happens is your parents are not always going to be there to make the decisions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like
exactly.
if you teach kids to make if you make a decision for your kids every single time, that's why that never works out. Is because when they hit real life, you're not going to be there in those circumstances.
Yeah.
Especially when those circumstances, when all these emotions are evolved as teenagers, as adults, as being young single adults, and we finally meet somebody we really care about and love.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we start making, then our emotions also get involved. But then we have to be smart enough to use our head to make decisions.
To make that decision.
Better and smarter decision. You know what? I'm not gonna have sex right now. Not because I don't love you. It's just because I don't think it's the right time, and because I feel like that I want to focus on me now. I want to have things I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And kids will actually start doing that, but because you don't teach them that, and then when they're just in a situation and somebody says, "Hey, beautiful," first, and then you just fall victim to your own circumstances, your own feelings, right? Because you're not,
Oh my gosh, yes.
So
they don't realize.
So, like, and that's something I always say. Like, it's so important. You gotta teach kids how to make decisions and empower them, so that way they can make their own decisions and not be a victim of what's happening. Of the circumstances.
Be a victim of the circumstances. Oh my gosh, yes, yup. I love that because it connects with so many things that I just think about, and that makes so much sense. And I feel like this is me thinking politically, but I feel like a lot of people who, I don't even know how to say it, but like certain things, like, okay, so we're talking about we're like becoming victims of our circumstances, right? And so like I think that's a big thing that I it's like, it's a mindset, don't you think? It's a mindset, being a victim of your circumstances, because there's always something better, but only you can choose to see that. Only you can either choose to stay where you are being right now, and like, or you can choose to say, no, I know there's something better out there if I work hard enough for it. But some people, it's so sad because some people are really just born, and like how we were talking about our parents' mindsets, that's something that maybe they grew up with, was that mentality. And something that I always think of, like, is how can we help these people, not being their parents or whatever, but like how, that's something that I think personally is like, how can I influence others to realize that they are not a victim of their circumstances, to realize that there's more to than just the problems in your life, and it sounds so simple when you just say, oh, just think positively, or just think positive, but it's like, it's more than that. It's harder than it seems, and that's something that I always try, and that's something that I hope I'm trying to do with I mean, I don't even have that many followers, to be honest, and I don't really care about the followers, but I just care about the influence that I make on whoever watches me, if that makes sense. But
yeah. But I highly encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. I think there was those videos you're posting and the discussions you're doing. I think that's something. I think that's a great thing you're doing.
Thank you.
And you're taking action, and you're actually doing something about it. Because the other side, you could just not do it, and nothing comes out of that. You already know. Right. If you do nothing, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But if you do it, if you do something, you don't know what's gonna happen, but something will happen.
Yeah, something we will win.
And that's better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing.
All right. So I do want to talk about something that you have a passion for. I want to switch topics a little bit. I know we just went through a little hardcore, deep issue moment, but that was really some good things you shared. But yeah, I want to talk about your passion in life. I do know you're very passionate and heavily involved in politics, and I know you have I'm interested in hearing about that. And I know you want to talk about politics and the politics in the Polynesian community, so I kind of want to open that up for you and take it from there. And why are you so passionate about politics? Because you know how politics are. Politics is not something that we really focus on and think about being Polynesian. I think for me, the reason why I don't really focus on politics because I wasn't born in America. Mm-hmm. So when you come to America and like the only thing I'm worried about is like trying to survive. Financially, I'm just trying to make ends meet and have some food on my table. So as if you're an immigrant like coming to a new country, the last thing you're worried about is like it's politics. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it to the next day and eat and have a bed to sleep in and take care of my family. So and then of course as you live here longer, as I build a life in America, then I start thinking about politics because politics does have impact on our culture, society, and how we live. But I'm interested in hearing your passion for it, and I want you to open it up for you, and let's hear this.
Thanks. I guess so. You're talking about my purpose and my passion. So I did want to bring up my purpose first because it has to do with my passion, of course. So just recently, so it was my birthday. Another birthday, it was September. I did like a video, I posted about it, but that's when I tried to like overdose, and so I spent my birthday night and the rest of the week, a whole week, in like a psychiatric center, which I really enjoyed and which I really loved because I was able to really learn a lot more about myself and learn more about mental health and my specifically mine, my anxiety and my depression. I was able to get a lot of help, like resources and stuff, which was amazing. But I feel like after that, or just lately, like recently, like I feel like I've had so much clarity in my life, and I feel like I know what my purpose is. And because I'm religious, and I know you're a member too, I honestly feel let me backtrack. So when people thought that I was like, I'm depressed and I want to try to commit suicide or whatever, it wasn't because I wasn't happy. It wasn't because I didn't think I had a perfect life. I know I have people who love me. I know I have, I have a car, I have a house to live in, I have food to eat. There's no reason for me to not want to be here. But that wasn't the reason. The reason was because I honestly felt content in life, and I felt like I needed to do the things I needed to do, and I've learned some things, and I just want to go now. I want to go back to Heavenly Father because that's where I feel like I'm going to be most happy and most at peace. And so sometimes, I had like a mental battle all the time, and also like I felt low-key upset with God because I have such a strong testimony, and because I have my beliefs in the church, I know that even it doesn't matter if I want to leave, it doesn't matter if I want to go. The fact of the matter is God has a plan for me, and it's not my plan, it's his plan. And so I always felt stuck because I was like, man, why won't he just let me leave? Like, what the heck? But just recently I do feel like I found my purpose of why I'm here. And I found there's just been so much clarity, and it's literally just wanting to represent him and be like him, but in disguised, like as a politician. You know, Jesus Christ was the greatest politician that ever walked on earth. And I when people say politics, I feel like they get a little antsy, or they like get intense, because they're like, I don't really know about politics, but the politics that I'm talking about, like, I am interested in like the presidency and everything and all that, but like when I talk about politics, I really see politics is just life. There's always two sides. Everyone has their own story. There's different parties, and then there's just the truth. And I feel like in the world right now, and I use politics as an example because it's such a great example, because you see there's just for example, there's Trump, and then there's Biden, and there's the Democrats, and then there's the Republicans. You know, there's a truth to each side, but it's like with the politics, it's always pushing, oh, this is my side, I'm right, and then they're like, no, we're right. But it's like, I feel like I've been so interested in politics. I've been so interested in politics just because I feel like I enjoy politics. I love following up with it, and I love having conversations, and I love getting opinions from other people. But I feel like that is a great way to make a change. Like, you know how we're talking about making a change, I feel like that's the greatest way that I can make a change, is to be in whether if it's city council, or to be in Congress or whatever. And that's, you know, because you are able to write laws, you're able to really work with the people and see what the real problems are, you know, rather than just sitting here and like debating and everything. Why don't we actually do something about it? And I feel like the best way to do something about it for me is to get into that, especially not just getting into it, but also changing the whole tone and changing everyone's view of what politics is. I feel like what I would like to, you know, do is bring a different tone to politics. I always talk about all my lives changing the tone of the conversation, just because I feel like people are so hard-headed, because they have their truth and they believe in it so much, where they don't even give a fair chance to anyone else to hear their truth. But I feel like if everyone were to let that guard down and listen to everyone's truth, then they would realize like, dang, we actually have a lot in common. You know, even though, and then even it's up to them in the end. I still don't really agree with that, but I can understand why you are the way you are, and why, you know, why you vote for who, or why you choose to do that, and then choose to still respect them. Because I feel like, especially, oh my gosh, like, not even because I love Trump. I didn't always like Trump. I wasn't even into politics. I I hated Trump, to be honest, at first. But my uncle, he passed, but he was a big Trump supporter, and this is my mom's brother. I loved him. He's so wise. I would go to him for scriptures, like doctrine questions, family genealogy questions, or culture questions, just because he's such a wise guy and he knows so many things. And so every time I'd go to his house and he'd have his MAGA hat on, or Make America Great Again, and I'm just like, ew, like, why do you support Trump? Like, doesn't he suck? Yeah. Like, what the heck? You know, like, all I see on social media and all I see is like, doesn't he suck? He's racist, right? And so I loved it because he challenged my thoughts. And so, to be honest, that's where I started doing my own research on Trump, because I never really understood why I hated him. I just took from what I saw.
Yeah,
because, you know,
everybody hated him. Yeah,
exactly. And so I started to do my own research, and I feel like that's what a lot of people don't do. They take what they are fed, which is convenient. And I understand, because I was there, which is social media. You know, they push all these things. But then I started doing my own research, and I was like, dang, this guy, he's not a perfect man, but he really does want the best for our country. He says things out of his butt sometimes, but who doesn't? I know, like, no one's perfect, you know? and I don't know. And so, and that just really opened my mind and helped, like, made me think, like, how many other of these people like me are out here thinking that they hate Trump and thinking that they vote for this guy when really they don't really know why they're voting for him. When like it's just so frustrating to me. I had this discussion with someone and they were like, I don't understand how, you think, you believe like this person and this person, we're cool, we're hella cool, and we still are. But it kind of hurt my feelings because they were just like, I don't understand how you can, support someone who is so sexist, racist, all these things. And I was like, man, first off, I thought you knew me enough to, like, I thought you knew my character. I thought that I lived my life where you knew who I would be and that I wouldn't support a person who was, supposedly racist, supposedly. And so, and then, like, yeah, I don't know if I really challenged their thoughts, but I think they're really still in their way, which is fine. But I just really, I try to have these conversations because I do feel like politics is important. It is important because, and a lot of people, I understand like my brother, he used to be that person. I used to be that person who didn't even really pay attention to it because it's like, it doesn't really affect my life, but really it does. It matters who is in Congress. It matters who your local governor is, the city councilman. They really do. It affects the way, how hard you're working. Don't work hard, work smart. Like it just all these things. But I feel like people don't. I don't know. For me, I thought that I couldn't get into it because I wasn't smart enough, and I didn't really. I was like, no, only like smart people get into that. But man, I'm not dumb, but I'm not like super smart, I just do my research and I look into things and then I take both parties. I see which truth, but I see which truth is more important. Is the truth of trying to reverse global warming, which is important. I believe that is the Democrat. That's something that Biden, and that's something that, what's her name? AOC goes for. It's called the Green Deal, and they're wanting to push. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just saying. I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Trump doesn't. Does he support global warming? Or does he believe in it?
He's not really. It's not that he doesn't care for it. Yeah. So it's like this. So for him, it's so there's a truth here that they have on this side, the Democrats, right? That Biden, they want to reverse global warming, but then for me, Trump's truth is like, no, we can reverse global warming, or like we can start on it, but there's a bigger problem because reversing global warming is getting rid of gas, getting rid of steel factories, getting rid of, which is what, getting rid of millions of jobs from people. So the bigger part of the fact, his truth is, I understand that that global warming is a thing, but I want to take care of the people and their jobs and the people who live in my country first. Does that make sense? And I feel like, and then there's social media that goes into it, where they push so much of like, no, global warming is such a big problem. But when people do the research, when people go and do the research, they realize you see the facts, and it's just like, oh shoot. Like, I don't know why I thought like we were gonna die, like our world's gonna explode tomorrow, because honestly, it's not that. I'm not saying that it's not bad, but it's not as bad as people make it to be. As much as, does that make sense? Am I making sense? Like, I don't know if it makes sense. I probably lost myself.
No. I feel, I mean, like, especially global warming. I know that's a big topic. A lot of people, there's a big group and a big support for that. And I know based on what I see people post about Trump, especially when it comes to the things he say about global warming, he doesn't, and people, make it seem like that, that he doesn't trust science or something. That's just a debate I see of people when it comes to like global warming and Trump.
Yeah. And see, that's just like what people hear and everything, and like there are bits and pieces, but because that was just like me, like I never really looked into it, and there's just things that I hear and like little things that I know, but I just, not even just wanting to encourage people in politics, that's just because I'm interested in politics, but really my passion and what I want to do for a career. So politics is a way. Politics gives me an opportunity to pursue my passion, because I know my real passion is really just wanting to represent Christ and wanting people to just really like, what is it? Think for themselves. You know how we talked about this earlier with our parents and stuff, like for people to not just take things from social media, not just to take things that they hear, but to go put in the work and go take both sides and think for yourself. Because I'm not out here trying to push like the conversations that I have. I will say my opinion, but I'm not trying to push my opinion upon you. I want to have open conversations. I want to learn something new. I want to learn something, and I want to understand the reason you choose that the same way that you understand that. And then in the end, still make your choice. And that's really what I want to do, is just help everyone speak their truth and help everyone being understanding and know how to talk and know how to have conversations without bashing each other, without making it personal, when it's really just, man, no, that's just the way that I feel. You don't have to get angry and upset about it. You can still feel the way that you feel about something without disrespecting me, you know. Just yeah. And that's mostly why I'm interested in it, and I get into politics and stuff. But the big reason why, like, I love politics, but really I feel like my purpose is to be here to represent Christ in the best way that I can, and to help people think for themselves and just to serve. And yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I know. Do you get a lot of backlash for being an open Trump supporter?
To be honest, I don't even feel like I'm that much of an open Trump supporter, but I do. I'll do some posts and stuff, but no one ever.
You don't really post it on social media.
Well, I do. I post some things, but not like the Trump supporters who are like, yeah, Trump every day or I'm gonna die. You know, like
the hardcore.
Like, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, no, I love Trump and I love what he does for our country and I support him. But that's it. Like, I'm not totally out there. But when I do post opinions and things, like, I will not get backlash, but I think that's what I like. I mean, I can handle backlash if someone wants to backlash me, but if that didn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. But I hope I'm doing a good job at creating a safe space for all opinions, for people to come with different views and to talk about it without feeling that they have to be in such a like without contention and stuff. But yeah,
I feel like now for me, when it comes to politics, I'm not. I know for me, like in one of my my own philosophies in life, I never want to like focus on things that I'm not really. I really don't understand. So politics, I know it's not one of my best areas I understand. But I remember I posted a video a long time ago, just talking about my thoughts on politics, and especially when Joe Biden became a president. For me, it's just I know one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons why a lot of people don't know about politics, because it's just because of the media stations. You know, they feed them with the propaganda.
Yep. So
a lot of people, because most people I know when they talk about politics, a lot of them just don't even they vote because it's an emotional decision.
Yes.
All right, they vote because everything goes. You know, it's like, you know, I vote because everybody else is voting Trump or Democrat, Republican.
Yeah.
Right. I have to hate this person because everybody in my race hates that person.
Hates them. Exactly.
So, like you said, you know, people don't do their research. So a lot of people don't know the truth, because, you know, politics, you know, it can get dirty, you know, sometimes in America.
It can get dirty, yeah. And I feel like that's what a lot of people think about when they think of politics. Yeah. It's just like, oh shoot, it gets dirty, plus, it's messy.
Yeah, and plus, you know, politicians, they don't have a good rap. They have a bad rap. You know, every single time when you talk about politics, the first thing we think about is like dirty politicians and greedy and taking our money and oppressing people. Yeah. And then there's a history of that, so people just think that's what they think about politicians.
Yeah, they assume that.
Yeah, but and also the people that post online, the hardcore people. That's the thing. Like for me, based on I have family members that are Trump supporters. I have family members that are Democrats. But it's got to a point right now in our country where like it's like they want you to choose a side, and then they judge you based on the side you choose, right?
Exactly, they judge you from who you vote for.
Yeah, so yeah, I understand, but there's so many things that ties onto it. So for me, like I said, one thing I just want to make sure that we can still have conversations and debate. The one thing I notice about like sometimes the Democrats and the Republicans, they spend what I see, but it's in my opinion, sometimes I feel like there's too much debating and not a lot of work done.
Yeah, exactly. There's never a solution.
Yeah, it's got to a point where like each side they care more about their image. Like, okay, like if the Democrats are winning or the Republicans are winning, but we're not. What's actually getting done? What's actually getting done? I mean, I don't. I don't care who makes the law. I don't care who passes the law. I don't care who wins. I just want to improve the overall life of the American that's living here and help the people.
Exactly.
But I feel like this now it's got to a point right now that it's the Democrats have their own agenda, the Republicans have their own agenda, and everybody's trying to like fulfill their agenda instead of like the real agenda, which is
the real thing. Exactly. So
we just pick the people,
the people, and that's why I really want to get into it, because honestly, anyone can get into politics. You don't need a degree. You just need to know your stuff. You need to be able to be willing to be brave and speak your truth, and make sure you know your truth, and make sure you have your facts for your truth. And so just the other day, I think it was on Sunday, after church, we went with my family. We went downtown just to go look at lights and stuff, and then we seen a homeless man with his dog on the side of the road. And then we were like, oh, let's go get him some food. So we went and got him some food, and my brother was like, I want to talk to him. I was like, yeah, let's all go out and let's go talk to him. And so we went to go talk to him and stuff, and I asked him, I was like, because I honestly, I'm like, I have a plan, and I want to, the only reason I want to go into politics or the government and stuff, is to be able to bring real, genuine people who want, who represent the people, not like how you were saying, who care so much about whatever their agendas or whatever.
Yeah.
But and I asked him, I was like, what do you think the government can do better? Like how do you feel like they failed you and all these things? And so he just started going off, and I enjoyed it so much. And he was talking about how there's so much corruption in the government. And I was like,
that's true.
Yeah, there's so much corruption. And I was like, yeah, and then he was talking about how there's so many new apartment complex buildings that are being built. No one is moving into them because they're so expensive, but the government is continuing to pay for those apartment buildings to still be there. But why? If no one moves into them, like, why aren't we building homeless shelters? There's so many abandoned buildings out in Salt Lake City where we could be utilizing those to build more shelters and get the people off the street. Because honestly, I feel like it'd be so easy. It'd be with the right leader, with the good intentions and a genuine heart, and who cares for the people, would get that done. And so that's why I want to go. That is the big reason why I want to go into, not for debates, not for clout, but because that's how I really feel like I can serve and represent Christ and help people to the best of my ability. Is when you have the right person in the right place with the right power, then you are able to really make a difference. But if there's a wrong person with how much power they have, nothing gets done, and they get distracted with the clout, they get distracted with the money, they get distracted, and so I see that, and it was just really cool to have a conversation with him. And and to like hear like, dang, like what the heck is the government doing? Like they're not doing anything. It's like they want to keep these apartment buildings up, so you know, because there are more people moving to Utah or whatever, but it's like no one's moving into these because they're so expensive. And it's just like, I feel like, yeah, there's just so many selfish and
just
politicians greedy.
It's a lot of the thing about politics is, and the truth about it is, there's a lot of money involved in politics. Everything is about money. So like if it's, you know, if you're gonna try to go against the government or the people, it's just hard to go against people that have all the resources. And you're like, especially if you're like you know, I wish I thought about that. I was like, man, I wish there was like somebody who was so like that was like genuine and real, can go out there and get elected. But then after watching and understanding how government works, it's just, man, they got a big task ahead of them, because
it's a big responsibility.
I mean, you got to go against all those powerful people that have all the resources, and they can find ways to stop you.
And I that is something that I think about too. And to be honest, like with my mom, because I've been telling her, you know, I want to get into politics because I want to make a change. But I feel like because I have, and I know that everyone knows this, but because I feel like that's what my purpose is, not politics, but my purpose is to make a change and to bring goodness and to, you know, represent Christ. I feel like as long as I have God and as long as I stay grounded and humble, I don't feel like anything can get in my way. Whether they really do get in my way in other people's eyes, I know that there's always going to be something new, something God is going to provide for me to do. When there is a will, there's a way. And I feel like that's why I'm not scared. I mean, it gets a little nerve-wracking, you know, when my human comes. Anxiety.
No, it's possible. No, it's possible. You can. I know. Like, that's one thing I believe. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But you know, but like I said, like politics. Woof, I wish that's a tough game, right? That's a very, very tough game to go into. But I know anything. But I got to keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep striving for it. I think that'd be not only great for you, but also be great. I mean, I would love to see a Polynesian politician. That'd be nice. That'd be great.
That'd be crazy.
Just like when Obama got elected and all the black people were celebrating.
I promise I'm actually going to do stuff for people.
But that'd be cool. Like, when I had kids and then like my daughter sees you on TV speaking as a politician, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
For to see that. So, but keep doing it there. But I think we've talked about a lot of stuff. I
know, but I loved it.
We talked about a lot of stuff. I think we've come to the end, and it's, like I said, man, we had some great discussions, and we just tuning in right now from the audience, and you haven't seen. Hopefully, you go back and watch the whole thing from the discussions. You shared a lot of great things about your life, and especially when it comes to culture, expectations, and the Tongan women, depression, mental health. Talk about rape, sexual abuse, just having those tough discussions in your household. So we shared a lot of things, and I just want to say, I'm grateful and thank you. I just say thank you again. Just like big hug, big hug,
air hug,
air hugs. I just want to thank you for sharing all of those personal experiences, because I know how hard it is to talk about those things, and the fact that you did it today in my podcast, and not only for yourself, but you did it for those to help other people as well. Man, that means a lot. That also means a lot to me, but I know it also means a lot to people. And I know for a fact that your story today can't save somebody's life. I know that for a fact. I know somebody's gonna watch this, and you're gonna save somebody's life. But yeah, we got to the end, so say thank you for making the time. Every podcast, I always want to end it off with just asking you to leave it off with something, to share some inspirational words and a message to everybody, and leave everybody with a great message before we end the podcast. So I want to ask Leah, can you just end it off and leave everybody with something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I did want to just say thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my story and to be on here and to talk. I really enjoyed our discussion, and I love and respect what you're doing. But I guess something that I just wanted to leave today was, I don't know why, but self-care and like mental health. I think the best way, or at least for me, was making decisions and making choices with intentions, and making sure that you're taking care of you and filling up your cup first before trying to pour into others, because that's when I was at my lowest, was when my cup was empty and I kept pouring from it, where it just, I destroyed myself. But yeah, take care of yourself. Also, I think, when you find your purpose, and I think your purpose is something that I feel like a lot of people don't know what a purpose is or what it is. Everyone finds theirs at different times in their life, but to not let anything distract you from what your purpose is. Once you have your purpose, there's always going to be things that get in the way. It's life, but to continue to do what you're passionate about and to pursue your purpose. And yeah, that's it.
For sure. Thank you. And everybody out there, I hope you guys, if you guys love their content, if you guys love their story, please follow her. I'm gonna leave her her information at the bottom. I'm gonna tag her so that way you can follow her. She does a lot of discussions, video discussions. She does. So I really want you guys to consume her content, and we're gonna watch your journey on your journey to be a politician. So that'll be great. So now the spotlight's on you. You better go out there and make it happen.
I'm scared. Don't sleep on me, guys. Don't sleep on me.
Don't sleep. So, but yeah, just like I said, thank you for coming to the end. And like I said, just with the bottom of my heart, thank you again, and giving me the opportunity to share your story and be on this podcast. And I very enjoyed it. We had some great discussions. I know it was a lot of deep and rooted issues that we talked about, but I did enjoy your energy and your vibes, and I just wish the best for you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Yeah, but I'm gonna turn off the record button. I'm gonna talk to you right after. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Give me 1 second.